Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are watching Off the Track, and it is time to drop the hammer.
Yeah, that's a great segue actually into what we want to talk about next with you. We talked about your sprint car racing and how you got started, but what about Fast Four? How did Fast Four Media kind of come to be and when that all got started so many years ago?
Yeah, so Red Bluff has kind of been my baby, I like to call it. Obviously it's not, but when I was first kind of testing the waters with video, I started in photography in 2013. It wasn't really profitable. I needed to do something to make money. Honestly, the way it came about, I really wasn't doing it for money, and it just kind of worked that way. I was doing the photography. I gave up on that in 2015, and I had a bunch of friends like Logan Seavey, James Edens. I was friends with those guys at the time, and they were on this thing called TeamSpeak, so we would always talk on there, but I never actually met them face-to-face. It's kind of like Discord, if you've never heard of TeamSpeak. But they convinced me to come to Red Bluff one time. I believe Caleb Henry met me in Sacramento, and I rode the rest of the way with him. He took me to Red Bluff, and I checked it out, and I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, I've got to come video here more often. And plus, my friends were already there, so that always helps, you know, when you have friends.
And Red Bluff had zero coverage at the time. Like, if you were just a guy, if I was posting my vlogs in 2014, like, that would have maybe been some of the only video. People wouldn't even, you know, record with their cell phone and post. Like, it was crazy the amount of coverage Red Bluff didn't have.
Well, and some of those videos from back then, when I first started in video, I filmed in the crow's nest on the backstretch. Like, not the best videoing because that was my first time. So it honestly looked like some mom in the grandstands, you know, with her phone or something.
With a little bit better camera.
Yeah. It was actually a really good camera. It's the one I did the slow-mo with on Sunday. Gotcha. But it was not very professional, but it got a ton of views because people were like, what is this? Like, I've never seen this before. It's kind of like if you're like on YouTube just browsing and you see like Rallycross, you're like, wow, that is insane.
Yeah.
Like these people saw Red Bluff and they're wheeling, they're dooring each other, but they don't wreck.
It was brutal back then.
Yeah,
even.
like back then people were dooring each other and they wouldn't wreck. Obviously there would be some wrecks if you get hooked up just right, but if you hit someone in the Nerf bar, you could knock them out of the way and just keep on going.
Yeah.
So when you first started filming at the Red Bluff Outlaws, you actually weren't going live. You were on the back straightaway there just shooting highlight clips. How did that transition from that to actually doing live streaming and now closer to your current setup you have today?
Yeah, so like I talked about, my friends convinced me to go video Red Bluff. I was just going up there to film. Broadcasting, actually, the way it came up was interesting. I never even thought about it. It was just one of those things that kind of popped up because of my friends, and now here we are. But getting to that, I did the filming on the backstretch, and people were like, man, this is cool. We need to somehow like get this out even further. If people could watch the race live, which at the time live broadcasting was still kind of new to
Yes,
people.
very new.
Like even me running at Watsonville, we had a video guy, but there was no live coverage because it was really hard to do at the time. Cell service was spotty, especially at Watsonville. It's basically in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had friends talk to me after the race, and they're like, dude, this is sick. You actually need to figure out how to try and broadcast this and make it free so people can, you know, check it out, maybe come watch, buy a cart, whatever. So I was like, man, I need to buy a tripod, a nice camera to actually take up there. And so I did that. And for a couple races, I was trying to brainstorm how I would make it all happen. So I was just shooting more tape delayed footage. But then I had the bright idea of let's do West Coast Nationals live. One of the bigger races.
At the time, probably the biggest race in outlaw carts.
Yeah.
My first ever broadcast, West Coast Nationals. I think you asked that earlier. I just remembered. It was West Coast Nationals. I went on a website. They were like, here's a streaming platform. I didn't really research too much of it at the time. I was still kind of computer illiterate. Over time, you know, the more I've done this.
Gain knowledge.
I've got a lot of knowledge now. But I was like, perfect. Like turnkey solution, let's do this. I broadcasted West Coast Nationals. It was free. I may have had to pay a couple bucks, but it wasn't much. I did the broadcast. I was like, awesome. Everything went great. I think we had like 500 viewers at one point, which is really good, considering that was a first broadcast. But then I get an email and it said, West Coast Nationals is an all-day thing.
Yes.
And I believe that was the first year they added the third day. So that was a lot of streaming hours. So the platform I used had this thing called streaming hours per viewer or something like that. So one person watching for 1 hour was one streaming hour. Mm-hmm. Well, their limit was like 800 streaming hours. Well, I had 500 people watching.
Yeah.
It went way over, and they were trying to charge me a ton of money, and it just kind of disappeared. Like, I don't know if the company went out of business or what, but I looked out there, already started out on the wrong foot. I was pumped that we got it broadcasted, but then I was like, dude, I do not have the money to pay for this. I want to say it was like $8,000 or something.
That's nuts.
Like, dude, I'm a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
Fresh out of high school, just trying to film.
Yeah, I'm just doing what my friends were asking me to do, and I kind of got screwed there, but it just went away. They never contacted me again about it, so I got kind of lucky there, and then